That meeting wasn't supposed to be about me, but suddenly the room went quiet. All eyes were on my screen, and my manager decided that was the perfect moment to make an example of me. He criticized my work. He questioned my competence, and he did it in front of people who had absolutely nothing to do with my project. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just waited for 6 months. Let me set the scene. I worked in a corporate role where collaboration was everything. Meetings every week, constant status updates, shared responsibility. My performance had always been solid. Not flawless, but definitely reliable. I'd never had any warnings. No performance plans, not even a private chat about any concerns. Which is why what happened next caught me so completely off guard. It was just a routine meeting. We had multiple teams present, even some senior leadership. The slides were already loaded, and we were rolling through the agenda. Then, about halfway through, my manager paused everything. He said, "Before we move on, I want to address something." And then he pulled up my work on the shared screen for everyone to see. He didn't ask me any questions. He just started criticizing. He pointed out what he called mistakes. He questioned my judgment. He said things like, "This is why we keep running into issues." You could feel the tension in the room. People started shifting in their seats, looking down, anywhere but at me. No one spoke up. My first instinct was to jump in, to explain the context, to clarify the details. But I realized something in that frozen moment. This wasn't about fixing a problem. This was about power. It was about control. So I stayed quiet. I nodded. I even took notes. Not because I agreed with a single word he was saying, but because I understood something very important. If I reacted emotionally, I'd just look defensive. If I argued with him in front of everyone, I'd look unprofessional. The only move I had was to let it happen. After the meeting ended, my phone started buzzing with private messages. "That was rough. You didn't deserve that. Are you okay?" But from my manager, complete silence. No follow-up, no apology, no constructive feedback beyond the public embarrassment. That's the moment I made a decision. I was going to stop trusting words and start tracking behavior. I began documenting everything. Not in an aggressive or obvious way. I just started saving things. Meeting notes, emails, project approvals, even Slack messages. I paid special attention to anything that directly contradicted what my manager had said about my work in that meeting, and soon enough, a pattern started to emerge. My manager consistently took credit for successes publicly, but he always assigned blame publicly too. He completely avoided giving private, one-on-one feedback. He was creating problems in group settings instead of solving them in private. I didn't say a word. I just kept my records. I also changed how I worked. From that day on, every single decision went through email. Every approval I needed was documented. Every single thing I delivered had a clear timestamp. This wasn't to protect myself. Emotionally, the damage was already done. This was to protect myself factually. And I started watching. I noticed I wasn't the only one. I saw him do the exact same thing to other people on other teams. Different meeting, different project, but the same playbook. Public criticism, followed by private silence. That's when it really clicked. This wasn't personal. It was a habit. It was just how he operated. 6 months passed. Then, leadership announced a company-wide review of team processes and management styles. They were collecting feedback. It was anonymous at first, with the option for follow-up conversations. I didn't jump at the chance. Primera, it did. When I finally decided to submit my feedback, I made sure it wasn't about my feelings. It was about patterns. I didn't say, "He made me feel humiliated." I laid out the facts. I included dates. I included direct quotes. I included screenshots and examples. I explained, in a very neutral tone, how the consistent use of public criticism was impacting morale, project accuracy, and the overall trust within the team. I didn't make accusations. I just presented the evidence. HR reached out. They asked for some clarification. Then they asked for more examples. Then they asked if I knew of others who might be willing to confirm this behavior. It turns out I wasn't alone. Not even close. Multiple employees had similar stories. The only difference was, mine had the cleanest, most well-documented timeline. My manager wasn't fired immediately. That's not usually how these things work. But his power was curtailed. He was removed from leading team-wide meetings. He was required to complete mandatory management training, and he was officially placed under a performance review. The public criticism stopped overnight. The entire dynamic of our team meetings changed. A few weeks later, he tried to apologize to me. He found me by the coffee machine and said, "I didn't realize how that came across." And you know what? I believed him, because people who operate that way rarely do realize the damage they're causing. Their lack of self-awareness is part of the problem. I didn't try to get him back. I didn't call him out in a meeting. He just waited, because when someone humiliates you publicly, the strongest response isn't loud anger. It's quiet patience and perfect documentation. 6 months later, the meeting everyone remembered wasn't the one where I stayed silent while being torn apart. It was the one where that toxic behavior finally and permanently ended. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.